All right, this is 1959 Ford F100. Call him Ike. I got a 2006 Mercury Marquis subframe that I'm going to put in it. I've also got a 351 Windsor that I'm gonna take this out, put the 351 Windsor in. So anyway, I started out. There's some good instruction and some good help on the web, but there's no definitive video on how to take the front clip off, meaning the fenders, inner fenders, grill, radiator core support, and all that off in one piece, which is what I want to do. I'm not going to be doing any work on the exterior, maybe just some minor stuff with Pour 15 on the fender wells, but that's it. So I took the obvious ones off. It's not a big secret on how to get a bumper off, so don't worry about that. But on both sides, you have this L bracket here that bolts in here and has a nut here. One of these bolts twisted off, which I kind of expected at least one of them to do. There's one identical one on the other side. Down here, next to the core support right there, is a bolt. It's about 1.5 inches long. It's got some rubber attached to it, but that was not too hard to get out with a big 3/4 inch with an extension and just a breaker bar. And then underneath here, these two right here have bolts that come through the floorboard, just to the left and underneath the clutch pedal to the right of the dimmer switch, and soak those with some PB blaster in it, and they come out pretty easy. The ones that were tough that I couldn't find, that nobody really had a good explanation of where they were, are in the door jambs. I'm gonna be reasonably careful not to open this door and crunch my fender up. As you can see, I have a little bit of room to work, but that's it. So I'll show you on the right side since I've got the door open. In here is this hole. There is almost no way to get a tool in here, but Ford, in their infinite wisdom, made a hole here. So you can access that one directly right through here, and you can see where it was in the top, just above the door hinge in the, on the pillar. And then in this center one, and this is accessible with just a regular ratchet and 1/2 inch. There's another one right there. So that one's fairly accessible. And then on both sides, there is a nut right here at the bottom. You can see the inner fender, kind of the liner. There's some insulation in there, weather stripping, sort of sound deadening. But right here, there's a bolt stud that comes out of this fender, the inner fender liner, I guess you call it. Comes through here. On mine, it was welded. I don't know if you can see that I had to cut it, but I plan on trying to put another stud on there when I put it back on and actually have the nut. On the other side, it actually did have a nut, and if you soak it with enough PB blaster and you're patient, it should just come right off without twisting off. It just kind of depends on how much rust you have. So, and also on my side over here on this one, this was already broken, so I didn't have to take these off. But that's what they look like. It's got a fiber rubber L-shaped piece that is permanently attached to this, or semi-permanently. And this is the floorboard bolts that come through the floorboard, so you'll have to lift up whatever you have on a floorboard. I had some Dynamat, and it was pretty easy to get out. So the hard part's not to actually getting the bolts out and the nuts out. It's the discovery of which ones to take out, and the ones that are hard to find are the ones that are in this door pillar, on the top hinge, in the top hinge access near there, and then in the center hinge access. And they basically, see how easy it comes off now? I just got that nut out, and I'm ready to get my friends over here and help me take this front clip off, and we'll see how it goes. Just some additional finer points, I guess you call them. Speedometer cable bolts on here. It's got a nut on the other side, so you know, to keep from having to mess with that when you get your friends over to help you take the clip off. Take that one out. There's a little harness for the horn and some other things, some lights. I got an extra horn in mine, extra loud. But you can take that off, and I just took it off and flopped it over here. I'm going to be putting a new harness in anyway, so but I was still careful. So, and then for all these, you know, you take the heater hose mounts out and try to pretty much take everything off the fender that's screwed into the fender. I've got one more, I think, wire I got to take off, and that's it. So just make sure your fenders, your inner fenders, are unencumbered by any kind of bracket or anything like that. Here's the other bolt for the core support here. Not too hard to get out. A couple more, oh by the ways. Do plan on taking the hood off before I try to take this clip off. And one thing that I've seen on videos and got recommended by the forum, those guys, 57 through 60 and Ford and Mercury panels and trucks, great source on Facebook, is drill a hole through your hood hinge, and you can put a either drill bit or a nail in to line it up when you put it back on, so you're not fitzing with it. It's a pretty effective way to keep the hood lined up. So anyway, I'm taking the hood off, but you can see this thing is loose, ready to go. Those are my friends and neighbors walking away from helping me carry the front clip in the backyard and put it under the deck. But it's been done. So here's what she looks like. Didn't have to take the fenders apart, grill, lights, horns, wiring harness, nothing in the front. So that'll all go back on like it came off, hopefully. The challenge was finding these suckers right here. Those two. And then on the other side, there's a, you can see the stud sticking out here, or actually there's a hole there. But on the fender itself, there's usually a stud sticking out. You put a nut on it. On the other side, it was welded on from a job many years ago, apparently, and I had to grind the weld off. But here she sits.